You too. Welcome back to another video, and I hope you're having a great day. Today we're gonna be doing another reaction. We're gonna be checking out 10 superstars who were traded and instantly fell off. This should be a good video. So drop a like, subscribe, leave a comment, and let me know down below what was one NBA player you had such high hopes for and they didn't really turn out to be what you thought they were going to be. But this should be a fun video. Let's go ahead and check it out, man.
Today we look at players that were superstars or at least near stars on one team but got traded to another and instantly fell off and got worse. And a guy like Allen Iverson,
wow.
Example. You see, of course he built his name and his Hall of Fame career on the 76ers. We all know how great he was and what he did for that team. Well, then he gets traded to the Denver Nuggets, but there he teams up with Carmelo Anthony and still averages 25 and 7 and proves to the whole world that he's still one of the best players in the league without a doubt. And it actually wasn't until he got moved to the Detroit Pistons in 2008 that he really fell off. He just came off of a great year for the Nuggets, playing 42 minutes a night and playing like a superstar in 2007. So you can't tell me that his game just completely fell off 1 year later, leading to him now only putting up 17 and 4 in 2008. And it wasn't that.
No way.
He could still physically play at the highest level, but his attitude and constant problems with coaches finally took a major toll on his career. And it was why he never recovered afterwards. And at only 33 years old, it's a shame things turned out that way when he probably still had so much left to offer. But it's crazy because Scottie Pippen...
Okay, no way we mention Pistons Allen Iverson, but we don't mention the Memphis Grizzlies version of Allen Iverson. Like, did we forget that happened? I kind of feel like a lot of people forget that he actually played for the Grizzlies for like half a season, and in his last year, he averaged like 14 points a game. So I mean, you know what I'm saying? Shout out Allen Iverson, though, man. Scottie Pippen was crazy, yeah.
His career took a major turn too, because that was the age he was when the '90s Chicago Bulls eventually broke up
that crazy contract,
traded to the Houston Rockets. And this is the guy that just helped the Chicago Bulls to their second three-peat. The guy that was Michael Jordan's right-hand man through 6 titles. And even when he played those 2 years without MJ, he was getting MVP votes for leading his team in every statistical category and averaging 22, 8, 5, and 3 for 2 straight seasons. So Jordan retires and he joins the Rockets, and even though he was now playing 40 minutes a night, which was 4th in the NBA, he was only averaging 14.5 points per game on the worst shooting numbers of his career.
That still doesn't seem real. Like, Scottie Pippen seems like one of those people that should have just like been like a franchise, a one franchise person, just stay with the Bulls. He seems like that, right? You know what I mean? But then he went on to Portland and Houston. I don't know, man. He just feel like he should have just been a Bulls his entire career.
The Rockets then got swept in the first round, and Scottie requested a trade. And sure, you could say, well, he just wasn't a good fit alongside Barkley and Olajuwon. But you could also look at the next 4 years of his career for the Trailblazers and see that things didn't get any better. They actually just got worse.
I mean, they had a good
team. He
was
still dominant defensively and had some good outings on his new team, but he wasn't the same dude he was for the Bulls. And it was weird because a player like Pippen should fit perfectly onto any team he's on, but he was always a step behind the Bulls Scottie. Then of course Dwight Howard's another guy that got moved and fell off. He put up
we're not doing the White like that.
Career in Orlando, gets moved to the Lakers, and instantly right away everyone agrees he was just never the same. I mean,
when it comes to the White, I don't want to say it was a fall off. I just think his career with the Magic was just so good and dominant. It was no way he could keep that up for like the longest time. Even though the Lakers like from Magic to Lakers, it was only like a year apart. So he still should have been like dominant like crazy. But I just think like what he did with the Magic was just so good. It was no way you could just keep that up. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Shout out to White though, man. Got him a ring.
I mean, his stats on the court didn't fall off a ton when joining a guy like Kobe Bryant, but you could just tell he was completely different. And then the excuses came in. First, it was that he had just had back surgery and he came back too soon, and he didn't get to work out in the off season. And then as the season went on, it was just that he wasn't a good fit on the new team. But eventually the excuses ran out, and the fact that he was no longer a dominant player was completely on him. As he joined a new team after
he bounced back to Houston,
he just never went back to his Magic days. I mean, it's not like the back surgery had career-lasting effects either. We've seen plenty of guys have back surgery and come back fine in a year or two.
Yo, do y'all remember how bad that Hornets team was with Dwight Howard? They literally had this man bringing the ball up court doing ISOs. I know y'all remember that. Hey,
who knows, maybe the Orlando Magic situation was just one of those where he was the perfect fit in that style and system. But while we're speaking of the Los Angeles Lakers, I think it's only right to mention the one guy that instantly fell off due to not even getting traded at all. You see, Lamar Odom was originally one of the pieces in the Chris Paul deal, and once that fell through, he felt so betrayed and hurt that they tried to trade him that he now requested to be traded anywhere else. Well, that just so happened to be to the Dallas Mavericks, where not only his career but the man's entire life kind of publicly fell off a cliff. I mean, And that failed trade was really the main
crazy
catalyst to a lot of things going downhill for him. And I saw him now come off the bench and put up career lows across the boards in points, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals, and field goal percentage. And at one point, Mark Cuban even questioned his commitment to basketball in the middle of a game.
Oh,
so
wow,
he
I
left
didn't know
that
that.
team and played one more season for the Clippers the next year, and things got even worse, which pretty much ended his career from there on out. I feel like I just talked about the Isaiah Thomas situation recently. But
yeah, I mean, like, but like Lamar's though was like more off court. If you know, you know. Shout out Lamar, though, one of my favorite players though.
We all know how he completely fell off after the Celtics traded him, and his career ended.
Celtics did him bad, man.
I just wanted to give it a mention, but not spend too long.
I understand
and then
it,
we do
but
have to talk about another point guard though, who instantly fell off in Kemba Walker.
But we're not doing Kemba like that.
Charlotte Hornets for 8 long years, and he was a guy who continuously got better every single season.
Kemba did everything he could,
Never
man.
really mattered too much though, because he was on the Hornets. In his time there, they only made the playoffs twice and never made it out of the first round. His last few seasons in Charlotte though saw him putting up 23 and 5 a night and making all-star teams. Personally, I remember seeing right through this. He was a
Kemba's one of those
point
players
guard,
that's
was
going to
only
get lost
getting
with
5
time,
assists
man.
a game and finishing with a losing record every year. He probably shouldn't have been an all-star and may have tricked a few people into thinking he was better than he was, with some of those people being the Boston Celtics.
Okay. No. We're not even going to go there. Tricking people to... No, Kemba was really like that. Everybody know. Yes, he was on the Hornets. I mean, the Bobcats. We get it. But Kemba was really like that. Like, he was really one of the best players in the league. He did everything he could. I think... We're not going to say that, okay? That's crazy to say. Kemba was... His talent was legitimately there. That's all I'm saying.
Seeing that they gave him $35 million a year in a new contract. But it wasn't long after that the Celtics realized they didn't like his game and traded him for Al Horford. He then found his way onto the New York Knicks, who decided to bench him for the season after only about 30 games. And we're talking about the Knicks, who had no real other point guard at the time. So I think his game really got exposed once he wasn't on the Hornets anymore. And he fell off big time with him not even being in the NBA anymore just 4 years after the initial trade. DeMar DeRozan was another guy who fell off after getting traded. I mean, just look at what happened to him on the Spurs.
I'm starting to think this video can't be real. I'm enjoying the video. I'm sorry for pausing it, but I cannot sit here and say DeMar DeRozan fell off. Really? Are we being for real here? DeMar DeRozan has been one of the most consistent players in the league over the past like decade. Even after the trades, even on the King. I'm gonna hear him out because this is ridiculous.
As you'll remember, he became the guy on the Toronto Raptors, making the All-Star team 4 times and averaging 27 points a game at his best. He was a 20-plus point per game scorer consistently and thought to be one of the best shooting guards in the league, seeing how he was able to help his team to the best record in the East on multiple occasions. But then he gets traded to the San Antonio Spurs and everything changed. You see, this was the Spurs timeline. 2017, Kawhi Leonard was fully healthy. 2018, Kawhi Leonard doesn't play at all. 2019, DeMar gets moved to the Spurs. Well, here's how things worked out. With Kawhi leading the way, the Spurs went 61 and 21. The year he sat out the entire season, they finished 47 and 35. Then the year they added DeMar to play with those same role players that just finished 47 and 35 on their own, they now went 48 and 34. So adding DeRozan added 1 win to this team. Well,
because you're adding 2 different players. This team, they play legitimate good basketball. It's just Kawhi wasn't such a ball dominant player as DeMar DeRozan is. Everybody know. You know what? All right.
On the other hand, Kawhi led DeMar's team to an NBA championship, which really gave DeRozan a terrible look, especially.
Okay, well, we have to understand that version of Kawhi was considered the best player in the league. You can't compare that. Nah, man. I cannot agree with this one. I'm sorry. I just can't agree with this one.
Missed the postseason. Sure, he's redeemed himself since then, but after leaving the Raptors, DeMar DeRozan's game definitely got a little bit exposed. Another one that may be controversial was that of Russell Westbrook, because on the OKC Thunder, he was MVP and considered to be making his mark as one of the best players in NBA history. But once he was moved to the Houston Rockets, it was the beginning of the end. He didn't work out great with James Harden, which wasn't good, but it was okay because he still averaged 27, 7, and 7. Some could argue he fell off a little bit. Then he moved to the Wizards and didn't mesh well with crazy. He averaged 22, 11, and 11, but Washington finished with a losing record. Some could argue he fell off a little bit more. Then he ruined
the Washington Wizards version of Russell Westbrook. I think we just don't understand. He averaged a triple-double, and he was still dominating like as one of the best point guards in the league at that point. Now, the Lakers version, you can say whatever you want about Lakers, but like, The Rockets version, he was still pretty good, and the Wizards version, he was still really good. Fall off nowadays, you can have your opinions and you can have your thoughts. Everybody knows he doesn't fit everybody's system, but we gotta start. We gotta start.
The
This
Lakers
is crazy.
for that one season and didn't mesh well with them either. So it was finally
Everybody knew
safe
the
to
Lakers
say that he had
version
either
wasn't
fallen
going to be
off
the
or
best. Just
didn't
fit.
play good
Everybody knew
outside
that.
of OKC and got exposed. Because once he eventually signed with the Clippers, there was no debating that he wasn't the same. I've gone into details many times about why he never worked out on other teams, so I'll save you on the details this time. Of course, though, Ben Simmons is always another name that comes up in terms of current guys who fell off.
Now I can agree with this one.
It's just not too common for it to happen at only 26 years old. It was all his own doing though, and it was really because of the passed up dunk. Sure, he's done interviews and made comments about why it was a mistake that he passed it up. And when the team turned their back on him after he cost them that game, his confidence was now at an all-time low, which led to the holdout, which led to the trade to Brooklyn. And he couldn't have played any worse there. Sure, he had a back surgery and an apparent back injury that still existed, so we'll see this year if the whole trade situation caused him to fall off or if it was just temporary. As for a guy like
Ben Simmons, the case of Ben Simmons needs to be studied, because I don't know. It was definitely a mental thing, and it was also, I would say, well, I can't say that 'cause I don't know him, but you can tell, like when his team turned, like when the team turned his back on him, I would feel the same way too. But at the same time, it's like you still had the skill set. You just had to go out there and hoop, man. Oh, man, I was such a big fan of Ben, man. Dang.
And Stevenson, well, his fall off definitely wasn't temporary, because once he left the Indiana Pacers, he was never the same player. With Paul George and Roy Hibbert, over a 4-year span, he had slowly emerged into a third option and a real threat on that team. He was a perfect fit in that role and was showing signs that he was getting better every year. Well, then he took slightly more money to leave the team to the Hornets.
Yeah, that was crazy. I would never did that.
He was instantly moved to the bench, his numbers took a big drop, and over the course of the next 3 years, he was tossed around 5 different teams before ending back up in Indiana. And by that point, the Pacers had a whole new team dynamic, so it wasn't the same, and it's why Lance never returned to that near all-star form. And
I would say Lance Stephenson's case is one of those cases where it's just like, you never really had high hopes for that he was going to be an all-star or like this, the guy. So it's like, does it really matter? You know what I mean? Like, does it really matter if you fell off or not? Not trying to like diss Lance Stephenson, nothing, love Lance Stephenson, but it's like when you didn't have high expectations, and it was kind of like this perfect time and perfect role. Like the team was just like, that Pacers team was just like one of those good teams, you know. So I don't know, but shout out Lance Stephenson though.
And also why he's currently out of the NBA. Joakim Noah is another guy that's also been out of the league for years at this point. And technically he really doesn't count because his fall off actually took place before he was traded away from the Bulls. And it was strange. Right? He won the Defensive Player of the Year and was an all-star in 2014. Then the next year his numbers dropped dramatically.
Let's not forget, he was also third in MVP voting. That's all I'm saying.
But that was only because the team brought in Pau Gasol to help him in the front court, and that was fine. But then the next year he lost his starting spot to Nikola Mirotic, and that's what was the beginning of the end for him, because he then signed a massive deal for the Knicks in the offseason, and it went so terribly that he's now known as the guy who had the worst contract in NBA history and never played another NBA game again after the contract was over. I mean, the fact that he averaged about 4 and 4 over the 4-year span and played a total of 100 games will do it to you. Then finally there's the odd case of Darren Williams, who was an all-star.
I was hoping we'd see Darren Williams.
Point guards in the league during his time in Utah. And the New Jersey Nets had high hopes for him when they brought him in off the trade. His first year was promising when he continued on that same all-star pace. But then he kind of started falling off and things never got better. Because just 2 years later, his numbers took a massive hit and he went from playing like a superstar to a decent starter at best. He was only 30 years old, but the decline kept happening, and it was just 2 years later that he was out of the NBA entirely. And it was confidence issues that halted his career. It doesn't get talked about a ton, but a guy like Ben Simmons proves that confidence is huge. Darren Williams said that he had so many small nagging injuries that kept putting him in and out of games, and right when he would get back into a rhythm, he'd get injured again, which would make him doubt himself and his game and how well he could play, which on paper makes this one of the most mysterious fall-offs we've ever seen from a young player who had such a bright future. But when you actually look into all the details, it makes a lot of sense.
I mean, well, like in terms of Darren Williams, by the way, amazing video, by the way. But in terms of Darren Williams, I can understand that. I mean, like, if you're just hoping your best you can and then injury after injury after injury, it could kind of bother your confidence. But it's a few people on this list I cannot agree with. DeMar DeRozan, I can't agree with that one. I can't agree with that one. But that was an amazing video. But like I said in the comments, let me know like what is one player you had high hopes for and it never really manifested. But I enjoyed that video. So if you drop a like, subscribe, leave a comment, and it's been your boy George. I'm gonna catch you the next one. We out of here. Peace, man. I hope you enjoyed the video, man. See you in the next one.